So I had a great conversation yesterday with one of our managing brokers about escrow. So you know that escrow is the money that a buyer puts down, earnest money is another word for it, to show their good faith in completing a transaction. And so whenever we explain to a buyer or a seller about earnest money, we explain to them that if you default on the contract, so if you're a buyer and you default on the contract, you don't close when you say you're going to close, you don't do your due diligence when you say you're going to do your due diligence, whatever it is, that earnest money comes into play. That's when it comes into play. If you cancel a contract as a buyer or don't perform on the contract, then the seller can get the earnest money, and that's the whole purpose of it. So the conversation that we had yesterday with one of our brokers here was that, so if you have a dispute about the earnest money, let's say that the buyer's like, no, I'm not releasing it, because both parties do have to sign a form that says that it's going to be released to whichever party it is that is going to get it. If there's any kind of a dispute about it, the escrow is not going to be released. And so I've had this happen before, and it eventually was released by the broker, but it took over a year. And so what I learned yesterday, which is really good information to put things in perspective, is that if there's a dispute with earnest money, the brokerage that's holding it will, well, at least if it's our brokerage, will continue to hold it until the dispute is mediated or there's an agreed upon way to distribute the earnest money. Sometimes a buyer and seller will agree to split it 50-50, and sometimes you just can't get whichever the other party is, usually the buyer, to sign the document to release it back to the seller if the seller is indeed supposed to be getting it per the contract, the agreement. So that's something interesting to know. Now, one way around this is claims court, and this is another argument for large earnest money deposits, because who wants to go to small claims court over $1,000 earnest money? So that's a great argument for beefier earnest deposits, so that if you are winding up in litigation over it, it's worth getting it in the end. Not very many people will go file a small claims lawsuit over $1,000 earnest money. I think the time, energy, and money to file a claim like that are not worth it to most people. So that's some good information. Your earnest money is not guaranteed to be returned to you. Now, I've had 100% success lately with getting earnest money returned or earnest money awarded to the seller when buyers have not fulfilled their end of an agreement. But if you have questions about earnest money, it can be complicated. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas. Please feel free to reach out. If you are looking for an agent in the southern Maine, southern New Hampshire region, especially if you're looking for somebody who's aggressive and maybe thinks outside the box a little bit, and you think we would be a good fit, please feel free to reach out. I would love to interview. Definitely looking to pick up some new clients right now, right before the spring market hits. And you guys have a great day.